I'm Malcolm Nance, and if you're watching me here with this nice monitor behind me, I'm back from Europe, and as you can see, this is the Black Man Spy podcast live stream show that we do every morning on Substack and repost on YouTube. Granted, yesterday I could not make it for maybe the second time in 145 days, 46 days, because I was at 33,000 feet. I tried to start the stream, and unlike most civilized airlines, United Airlines does not allow their Wi-Fi to be used for any streams whatsoever. You can't even watch movies and stuff on there. If it doesn't come from them, you can't watch it. So that I could not link at all. And that's why we had to shift over to doing Jacob's podcast and then Wajeeh, those guys. And they handle everything admirably. Also, I am not seeing the numbers. So Wajeeh, you'll have to keep an eye on the numbers. I am not getting the actual chat today. So just deal with it, and we will go on about our business. Jacob Carsbo, Danish intelligence officer extraordinaire, is usually here. Again, he is enjoying time with this thing they call a family, and he is just out there living life, living large. No, he probably is out making a speech for big bucks, because that's another thing that he does. But we do have Wajeeh the Gay Lion here from Minneapolis, Minnesota, who is holding the line, holding the fort, geopolitical, Gulf states geopolitical analyst extraordinaire. I will represent the spy world. Wajeeh will represent the political and academic world now that he's back to being a student at University of Minnesota. Is that what that is?
Yes, University of
Ah.
Minnesota College of Humphrey.
Well, are you like on the cheerleading squad or something? I mean, what do you do
You know,
for
I think
fun there?
I would
Well,
I still am doing my physical therapy for the shoulders. I don't think I quite
ah,
fit for the cheerleading yet.
you're not gonna be
Uh,
doing the cheer team pom poms. Yay.
Although George Bush was a cheerleader.
Yes, I know. We saw him in his little slick slacks. Yeah, that's what, and they were like pumping it up. George Bush was a sportsman. Yeah, okay.
Yes,
He was a cheerleader, but nothing like Donald Trump. So, that being okay, well, let's move on from that, because the less said, the better for these guys and their cheers. I see you're sporting your Afghan Paful hat, which is salty, salty. I like it. I'm wearing my U.S. Navy Senior Chief Petty Officer's hat, and so that people will know that, because no one would ever know that I was in the Navy before, right? It's not like I don't say that 500 times a show. And I am sporting, as you can see, I am up in Canada, and I'm back from my flight, took me through Paris, and again, I had to go back to Paris. It was awful. And
Why
all that
why
wine and
does the writing
food,
of Canada? Oh,
champagne.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
No, 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 I'm finished. Go ahead.
I was wondering, Canada, when it's written in red, it always looks it's ready for Christmas. That's
Yeah, because it's Christmas country. It's trees here all the time. It's nothing but lakes and snow, and they got moose and elk and caribou and all sorts of other cool things that they have here. So, just keep an eye on the tab of the number of followers that we
We're at
have, because
9:44.
oh wow, well, that's fast. People are wanting to get into the news, because there is a lot of news, and you're going to want to hear my analysis, because of course my analysis is the best, and you getting the details of what you need to know is going to be a lot more comprehensive than you watching the news. And God forbid you watch Fox News. These people, Newsmax, Fox News, I have never seen more vapid vapid information. There is no information in there. The United States, did you know that the United States is just crushing Iran and winning, and everything is open. The Strait of Hormuz is wide open. And I like this analysis they put out yesterday. 50 million barrels went through in the last 145 days. All right.
Wow.
Usually it's 300 million barrels per day used to go through the Strait of Hormuz. They have some weird arithmetic going on there. So let's move on to today's activities. Today is day 12 slash 146 of the second U.S.-Iran war, which is merged with the first U.S.-Iran war, which is why we have day 12 of strike on a
Uh-oh.
speech yesterday.
You're rubber banding.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know we use multiple aircraft battle groups as a skirmish, including hundreds of U.S. Air Force aircraft, as well as 6 B-1 bombers, each carrying up to 60 to 75 2,000-pound JDAM self-guided munitions. I mean, that's a mean trick. So we have that to go on. That's what a skirmish is. Wajeeh, what do you think a skirmish is?
A
Oh, got a little
skirmish.
slowdown here in the Wi-Fi on Wajeeh's end.
Y-
Um,
n-
let
can
me
you hear
see
me?
if I'm still up. Am I still up?
You're out.
Keyword. Pam, is it still going?
Hello.
Still feeding? Hey, Wajeeh, did you hear any of that?
Yeah, I heard all of it. Can you hear me?
Okay. Well, I guess Wajeeh's.
Uh, Malcolm, help! Come back. What did you do?
Oh,
Here
he's
he
come.
goes.
There
You're
you go.
back.
You dropped
I
out.
didn't
You
go
can't.
anywhere. You're the one that dropped out.
No, I'm watching the feed. You dropped out. Now it says my connection's a little unstable, but I am in a very high-speed Wi-Fi zone right
That's
now.
very interesting.
I mean,
I'm
very
sorry.
high
I
speed.
think I think we're being hacked by the Israelis. They don't like what we're doing, but it's okay.
Or the Saudis. Could be the
Or the Saudis.
Saudis.
That's right. It could be the Saudis as well. But let me tell you this. I was watching analysis, and this guy specializes in nuclear weapons. And there is this program software that you use that they use a bomb like twice as big as Hiroshima, okay? And
Yeah.
if we drop it on Pickaxe Mountain,
Uh-huh.
it would only go 50 to 80 meters deep.
Correct. Yeah, I've seen this. And we're going to talk about that because I got into a big debate yesterday on with a guy named Matt Tardio. He's a former special forces guy, big Trump cheerleader, and he's like, "Let's just hit it with a 5 kiloton nuclear weapon." Well, there is an actual crater that was created by an atomic bomb that we used 152 kilotons. To give you an idea, that's 10 times bigger than Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which was 19 kilotons. So I guess it's only 8 times bigger. And it only made a, like a 100-foot deep crater. These things, atomic bombs, do not you know, eat down into the earth. The earth is how you protect yourself from those blasts. So the only way to do it is you actually have to go into the mountain with enough force and blow it up from the inside to collapse the mountain. And my argument on Twitter was when Mount St. Helens blew its top off, which is the effect that we would be sort of wanting, right? Just explode up, implode, and collapse in. It blew up with the equivalent of 24 megatons. That's 24 million tons of TNT, right? 5 kilotons is 5,000 tons of TNT. But 24 megatons, that's what blew up. Mother Nature's own eruption created the equivalent of a a megaton explosion to blow the top off of Mount St. Helens. That's what you would have to do at Pickaxe Mountain. Waj, are you still there? Because your video froze, but I
I
have your
I
audio.
am
Right.
I am right here. My video is not
Okay,
here. Let me fix that for you. Could you
that's
see
okay.
me now?
Yeah, I see you, but it's frozen. But let's hear your audio. That's as long as everybody else hears and sees you. Okay,
I was
let's go.
trying to see if I could pull out the website that could show the our listeners about exactly what it would look like
Well,
if
let's get to that
that
a little
nuclear.
bit later because I
Okay,
want to get straight to the oil and significant activities. Let me make
let's
a
do.
quick, I will do it here because now I have my giant monitor behind me. And when I was in Europe, giant monitor was not a working. So let me see here. Just give me a sec. Um, don't want to show everybody my password. So Google
Good idea.
Earth. Um, it's the atomic bomb simulator. Is that what we were looking at there? Whoop, I turned off Wi-Fi. So
Oh, you're
move it a
opening
little fast.
no.
Give it to me again.
Oh, you're opening the website for the nuclear
Nuke
bomb thing.
Nuke Map, right? Nuke Map.
Yes.
Yeah. So Nuke Map is a website that you can actually go to and put in the coordinates of a place, right? Like, let's say Ahvaz, Tehran, Iran. Here, the map will go out, and you can move that. Let's move it down here to it's Isfahan, right? Or Natanz. Let's go for Natanz, Iran, because that's where Pickaxe Mountain is. Natanz. But. Mm-hmm. New Delhi. Right now, it's only giving me Tehran. Or you can select a preset. Oh, here it is. Davy Crockett. So what you can do is you can put in a 150 kiloton cruise missile, for example, and simulate a detonation on the city of Tehran to show the area that it would, if you can see that chart behind me, how much it would destroy, right? Like everything in the center here that's yellow. Whoop, sorry, there. Green, there's a tiny yellow inside there. Then it's green, then it's this tan, then it's this light tan around it. Everything in the middle would be vaporized, literally turned into gas, right? Then the green zone would be severe destruction, like just the frames of buildings. The tan area would be blast affected and fireball, and the yellow area would be heavy blast affected, whereas the gray zone would be blast and wind and fire, which would just set fire. It creates firestorms out there. And it is not going to create the crater that you think. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were airburst, right? Which means that they came down, the bomb blew up over the surface of the earth in order to have the explosive fire force and blast overpressure of splitting an atom nuke that place. Well, you have to go underground and have it blow thee up under the mountain, go boom. And then as it collapses, the mountain falls in on a cavern. We talked about this many times on this show, right, Watch?
Yes.
That we talked about the Rangers or the special forces would have to go into Pickaxe Mountain, right? Or wherever they suspect the nuclear materials, and they would have to put multiple bombs in to get everything, right? And of course, there is this problem. You detonate them, they have entrances and exits also. So what happens is inside there, it would blow out now heavily radiated dust, which would go into the atmosphere, right? Not a lot, but enough to where people will have radioactive material in their milk within a week because that's how it
I
used
don't
to
know.
work.
I don't know if you can see this, but the
Well, your screen's frozen
fireball.
for me.
Oh, okay. Um. Uh, I hope does this work better? I don't know if fixes that or not.
Nope.
But there is a fireball radius, and
Yes.
then after the fireball radius, there's the
Blast radius.
moderate blast radius damage,
Mhm.
and then there's a thermal radius, and
Yes.
then there is the light blast damage radius.
Hmm.
Those are all different radiuses. And but like the biggest thing is that we need to know how deep that goes. And when you look at how deep,
Well,
because they're like, if they want to hit a mountain with that, the whole point of hitting a mountain with that is to collapse the mountain on top of all of their nuclear production facilities, right?
but you cannot do it from outside, which is why
Thank
we
you.
build all our nuclear bunkers inside of mountains. Right? It's crazy. All right. Well, thanks for bringing that up. I want to get on to last night's significant activities. We have a lot of
Yes.
significant activities, a lot of attacks going on out there. Everybody needs to know about. So, significant activities for day 12, 146. First thing we want to do is we want to take a quick look at oilprices.com. And since I can't see your video there, I will just bring it up for us. Watch. Um,
No worries.
right now, oilprices.com has WTI is at 91. Oh, we're going to hit $100 a barrel by the weekend, by Sunday. Right? I cannot get my tongue to go sideways like that. I've watched those women 100 times, and I can not get my tongue to do that and make that noise at the same time. That's a real skill. Brent North Sea crude is at $99.88. If there is another attack off of Yemen, this is going to hit $100 by the time we finish this show. Oh, by the way, that was a $5.91 jump since yesterday.
That's right.
$5. Not 99-cent jump, not a $1.10 jump. That shit jumped $5.91. And why? Because we'll get into it, the significant activities. Yemen is attacking tankers, Saudi tankers in the Red Sea, and is declaring that they will determine if the Bab el-Mandab waterway authorizes ships to go through. Right now, Saudi tankers are being attacked. One is aflame off of Yemen, hit with anti-ship cruise missiles. Ooh, who
May
made those
I
anti-ship
comment
cruise
about that
missiles?
once
Yeah,
you're done,
yes. Go
please?
ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
Comment away.
what you have to understand now, the Yemeni issue has started for a long time, since before the Sykes-Picot. For a long time,
Right.
Yemen was divided into North and South Yemen, and then later on, it was united into one. But then after Ali Abdullah Saleh was kicked out, um, the Saudi government convinced a part of the Yemeni government to run the whole government from within Saudi Arabia. So they convinced the Yemeni officials to live in Saudi hotels, five-star hotels, on Saudi budget, using Saudi intelligence, using Saudi military, and Saudi Arabia can influence them however they want. And then those are now looked at as outsiders. Believe it or not, Yemenis who are not Shi'i are now uniting with the Houthis because who is conducting the economic blockade on the Yemenis? It is they're considering the Saudis, and who's hurting? It's the Yemeni people. The Yemeni people in general are hurting, and they're just all against this whole blockade. And this is uniting them together against the Saudi government. And that was one of the most interesting things I was learning yesterday from attending from attending Yemeni spaces, which was very interesting.
Hmm. Well, all I know is, and that is the top of our significant activities today, Yemen has now jumped into this war with both feet. We have not seen ballistic missile attacks yet. We will see. But right now, they have declared the Bab el Mandab waterway under their control in Yemen. Let me bring that up for those of you who are geographically challenged. uh, there we go. Earth.google.com. I like for you guys to know where things are happening. Um, the Bab el Mandab waterway is at the lower tip of the Red Sea, meaning the Indian Ocean. So, as the Earth spins down there, you're going to see this whole area of Western Saudi Arabia. Here, all of that is the Red Sea. This
That's
is
right.
the Arabian Peninsula.
Hmm.
Okay, let me move this map a little bit better. That's the Strait of Hormuz, right? This is the Bab el Mandab waterway. Oil comes out of Saudi Arabia and goes to Asia and Africa, or it comes out of Saudi Arabia's bypass at Yanbu, right? And goes up through the Suez Canal and up to Europe. Most oil sales are going to Asia, right? Out of Yanbu. But to do it, you got to come through this tiny, tiny, tiny little access way called what we jokingly called while I was in the military, the Barbara Mendel, right? That's the name of a famous singer. The Bab el Mandab waterway. The Bab el
What did you guys
Mandab
call
is right here. The Barbara Mandrell. She was a singer
it?
back in the Babo Mandrell. That's what we used to call it. But this tiny little area here, okay, right here is where all the trouble is. These are on the these here are the Yemeni side, the Africa side of the island.
Yeah,
This is the Yemeni side of the island. The Houthis occupy most of the northern section. These are
that's
the
right.
Hanish Islands. I have sailed through the Hanish Islands, and I've been to Aden, actually. Doot, doot, doot. Down here, well, there's Aden behind my head, right there, right? I have not been to Mocha, which is where I got to go one of these days. But the real issue is the Yemenis have this port up here called Hudaydah. Hudaydah is where the Houthi militias operate their small boats, all of their anti-ship missiles. And then in the mountains, mountains, O Yemen, here, that is all ballistic missile hiding country. The Iranians have been giving them anti-ship missiles, ballistic missiles, Shahed drones for decades, and they've hidden a lot of it away up there. The Saudis, the Emiratis, the Qataris actually invaded South Yemen, right, in order to as a U.S. initiative, to rid it of ISIS. And then their real goal, they invaded to the north to wipe out the Al-Houthi, what they call a religious cult. It is a Shia clan, right? Who is the leader of the Al-Houthi tribe? Malik al-Houthi or something
Abdel
like
Malik
that?
al-Houthi, yes.
Malik
He
al-Houthi.
is, they believe he's a direct descendant of the Prophet. Houthis do.
Ah,
They believe that he is in direct communication with Allah. They believe that he
oh, that's interesting.
receives, yeah, and they also believe that he receives revelations from Allah as
Oh,
well.
this is why, you know what? The funny thing is, I wrote a book about 15 years ago called An End to Al Qaeda. But what it really was, it was a study of Islamic cults through Islamic history where they would do things like this. This, if it's true, would be like the sixth major Islamic cult. All the other ones, for the most part, other than the Karamita and the Khawarij, were well, Karamita were Shia. This would be a Shia cult, but you
They're
can
Yazidi. They're a type of Shiite cult. Yes.
Yazidi. These guys are Yazidis. Well,
Yes. Original.
oh, we need to do a show on this because I could talk to you about the Yazidis. I saw some crazy ass shit when I was in Iraq. They are afraid of the Yazidis, and I'll tell you because they think that they worship the devil. But anyway, by this revelation that he thinks that he can speak to Allah directly, it means that he supersedes the Prophet Muhammad and that by saying he is from the Quraysh family, right, a direct descendant from the Prophet Muhammad, which there are hundreds of thousands of people that are direct descendants from there. It's almost like he's saying he's going to be the Mahdi, right? Which is a part of this Islamic cultism, the return of the Savior. So anyway, let's set that aside for a minute. They's attacking, and they have attacked a Saudi tanker right up here off Hudaydah. They hit it with an anti-ship missile. They set it aflame. Let me see if I can find the video of that ship. It is not doing well, this Saudi tanker, but that's to be expected when you get blitzed by missiles. Um,
And you
and
don't
now,
need much if you're hitting an oil tanker, right? You just need something small to
well,
get everything
it
quiet.
was hit with an anti-ship missile. They said it was struck and was left on fire. Hold on.
Now that's an ecological disaster for one of the most pristine waters on the planet at the moment. One of the one of the less like invaded waters.
Here's the
If
tanker
you
on fire off of Yemen, struck by Ansar Allah. It is a complete loss of the vessel. The vessel is, as we say, aflame from stem to stern. That's from fronty tippy point to the endy point. And the only place for this is abandoned ship. Okay. So the Yemenis have jumped into this war. A second Saudi crude carrier was struck by a missile. We have not received a report that that ship is on fire and is operating at a loss. People are not happy. Immediately after that, the vessel um, struck here in the Red Sea. Five tankers coming down have now turned around and gone back to Saudi Arabia. Three tankers coming from China up through the Red Sea have also turned back around. The blockade of the Bab el Mandab of Saudi Arabian vessels vessels carrying Saudi fuel and oil has started. That's why oil jumped $5.50 per barrel yesterday. Then usually it jumps by $1. This is like, whoa, we got to get all the oil we want because now both major waterways out of the Middle East are now both access ways here and in the Strait of Hormuz. Let me pull that down so you can all see it there and there have cut off the flow of oil. Saudi's pipeline from here in the Persian Gulf, from Abqaq, listen, I'm speaking Arabic, from Abqaq to Yanbu was their bypass. Going out of the Red Sea helped them. That's, by the way, that's Abqaq, that's Yanbu. And that helped them get their oil out. They were putting out something like 5 billion barrel or 5 million barrels of oil per day. That was keeping them afloat. Not now. Not now. The Yemenis are now in this game. The question is, how hard are they going to go into this game? Um, that being said, 8 vessels have been turned back in the last 24 hours. However, as we say in the military, however, The Chinese, a Chinese very large crude carrier and one owned by Costco that was going to China, have been authorized to pass. Toot, 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 toot. So some people are getting preferential treatment by the Yemenis, and some are getting their ships blowed up. Vessels that are supporting the United States or countries where U.S. are basing are getting blown up. And don't forget, a week ago, we talked about how Saudi Arabia attacked the airport at Sana'a, the international airport, to force Houthi diplomats who went out to the funeral of Ali Khamenei had forced them to land at Hodeidah on their Miran Airlines flight. And then the Yemenis bombed Abha Airport up in Saudi Arabia, and now it's gone to war with Saudi Arabia. So that is the significant activity of the day. We actually don't have in the Strait of Hormuz. What do I have on the other significant activity of the day in maritime traffic? Here in the Strait of Hormuz, the Iranians announced yesterday they have officially announcing that the IRGC has officially mined the Strait of Hormuz Southern Traffic Separation Scheme, we call the OTSS. That is the Omani traffic separation scheme that brings vessels here off the Musandam Peninsula, right there. Bump, bump, bump. This is bump, bump. Is the Omani traffic separation scheme where you hug the coast and you come between these islands and you go back close down the coast. That's the UAE coast. This is the way out and down. The Iranians are saying they have mined that now, and it wouldn't be hard for them to do because the number one way that they mine things is not with mine layers, it is with dhows, traditional wooden boats that no one would ever notice down there. It got the United States so excited that yesterday and the day before, they bombed dhows that were in Bandar Abbas Harbor, which are civilian vessels. So unless they knew that they were clandestine mine layers, the United States sort of went overboard on thinking they got the vessels that were mining the Southern Traffic Separation Scheme. The IRGC has put out a warning saying Iranian traffic separation scheme this way to safely transit the Gulf because the original TSS this way has been mined. And now they're saying the Omani traffic separation scheme that the U.S. Navy has been allowing people to use and encouraging them to use that's also mined. Travel at your own risk. What do you say to that, Raj?
Yeah, I don't think anyone is going to travel at their own risk at the moment, especially that missiles are flying around.
And don't forget,
The
they've hit tankers on both sides of that thing using the Omani
exactly.
traffic separation scheme with missiles. So they're now backing up. Missiles, mines, and drones have struck tankers there. They're making their point. Okay, let's
People
talk
keep
about
asking,
the regular.
when do you expect oil prices
Go
to
ahead.
explode? When do you expect things to start hitting? It is going to start hitting you now. Now it's about now.
Yeah, well, I
About
mean,
now.
when you get Brent jump up $5.50 in one day, things ain't good. All right. If the Yemenis hit another ship today, things are not going to be good. Here's another question I have, Wajeeh. Is the United States going to start bombing Yemen tonight? Are we going to have to split our forces? Who are we fighting?
We cannot actually do that because if we want to keep our blockade on the Iranian blockade, we need all of our fleet on the Strait of Hormuz. What we will do is we will give the Saudis the latest intelligence update. We'll give them satellite intelligence. We'll tell them we'll give you some extra missiles here and there. but we won't do shit about actually preventing the Yemenis. We'll expect the Saudis to handle that.
This chart right here that I've just shown, this is all of the U.S. warships operating in the theater, right? There's only 20. And out of those 20, two of them are aircraft carriers, so they can't participate in the blockade. They launch air power. We have two other amphibious transports, one of which, the USS Tripoli over here, as I understand it, it's left the theater. This these top three vessels are gone. That was 50% of the amphibious forces and aircraft that we were using as part of the blockade. And if they haven't turned around, I have no indication that they haven't. We're down to 18 ships, including this ship, the Expeditionary Warship ship, the Manuel Keith. Okay, this isn't a lot of ships. During Desert Storm, we had some crazy number, like 40 warships in the Persian Gulf and the Red Sea. Okay, that was a war, right? We bought everything to that war. This is like they're just fucking around the edges, and they think that these two carriers and the stuff, what we call the aircraft carrier Saudi Arabia and aircraft carrier England, are going to do all the heavy lifting right now and are going to be able to do what? Split and bomb Yemen? If Yemen
Correct
starts
me if I'm
lobbing
wrong.
ballistic missiles at U.S. bases in coordination with the IRGC, things are going to get very salty very quickly. So, I mean, we cannot afford to split these Arleigh Burke-class destroyers off. By the way, each carrier requires two of them to protect it against ballistic missiles. Carriers have no inherent defenses that would stop a ballistic missile or a cruise missile coming at it, other than the short-range surface-to-air missiles that they have on board. It's air wing, and these destroyers are supposed to be doing that. But if you got to peel some of this off to go to the Red Sea to start dealing with the Houthis, yikes. It's like they didn't plan for this war to happen at all, right? I would have said, hey, how are we going to take care of the Houthis? We had a war with the Houthis a year ago, and we cut a deal with them when we found out we couldn't hurt them. Sound familiar, America? Does this sound vaguely familiar? We're having that exact problem with Iran. Right now, we're finding out we cannot hurt them because they have missiles and things like that. All right, let's go to, that was it. Yemen is now coming into the war. Oil prices are skyrocketing at a time we're supposed to be getting near the bottom of our reserves. So go figure that out. Let's talk about 12th night. The United States is on its 12th night of airstrikes against Iran.
Yeah,
Donald
correct.
Trump is referring to all of this as a skirmish. Interesting. Um, I've been in skirmishes.
Actually, you remind me of a question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you talked about the U.S. ship deployment now versus the Gulf War, the first Gulf War, and during the first Gulf War, it was sanctioned by the UN.
Right.
Therefore, we had a lot of our allies' ships also showing up.
Oh,
Wasn't
yeah.
that correct?
Yeah.
But now that's not even the case. It's only America on their own. Canada's not with us. UK is not with us. France is not with us. Germany is not with us. Italy is not with us. No one. Bah. That's it.
Nobody's here. Nobody's here to help us. Oh, that's funny. As a matter of fact, I was looking for the chart of vessels. We had a lot of Allied ships. I was on several ships. I was on the USS Coronado, which was a command ship, until Fifth Fleet came in. And then I went to the USS Tripoli, promptly hit a mine. I went to this ship, the USS Missouri, which was fun. I was on a battleship for over a week when we got attacked by Iraqi anti-ship missiles. Yikes, that was adventurous. But we had British warships protecting us. When we got attacked by anti-ship missiles, we had Silkworm anti-ship missiles fired at us, two of them. We had a British destroyer shoot one down, and the other one got shot down by a U.S. frigate. But we had a massive naval armada. I want to say it was well over 40 some odd ships just in the northern Persian Gulf. To give you an idea of how seriously we took that war, do you know how many aircraft carriers we had, Wajeeh? American aircraft carriers, full carrier air wings.
At least 500.
No, how many aircraft carriers we had?
Oh, four. Three,
Six.
four.
Six.
No.
We had
Wow.
50% of every aircraft carrier in the U.S. fleet, if it wasn't in maintenance and we kept one in Asia, every ship that was underway went to Desert Storm. I mean, we had
Wow.
6 carrier air wings. That's almost 600 strike aircraft. This war's like, oh, we're going to do this in a week. We only need one. Let's borrow a second one. If the Ford comes in, we'll borrow that from time to time. What the frick? They didn't plan on this war at all. At
Wow.
all. So I can't find for you. They don't have a chart that exact same way. If I find it, but the Gulf War Naval Order of Battle, let me see. I just want to get the actual number of ships that was involved. Oof, good God. There's just too many. Look, it's just listing every strike group. Entire classes of I'd have to count that out. It's easily pushing 40 to 50 major warships, 6 aircraft carriers. We were bombarding Iraq from every direction. See, that's how you do the war. You don't half-ass it with one. Start the war with one aircraft carrier, bring in a second one, and then go, well, we're just going to fly out of Saudi Arabia. If Saudi Arabia today goes, hey, listen, we can't keep doing this, you know, especially if
Uh,
countries start losing their power plants. Things are going to get very,
according,
very spicy.
according to quick Google search, you had 165 U.S. vessels and over 65 ships from allied nations.
Holy cow. But, that also includes the logistics chain coming from the United States. And some of those vessels didn't count, but that's an enormous. We put together an enormous armada. Desert Storm was the way it should have been. This war should have been the size of Desert Storm. I would have gone no less. I would have said 6 carriers. And here's the kicker, Wash. They keep a fucking carrier off Puerto Rico, right? 2 of them now, including the Nimitz, which should have retired this year, for Venezuela.
Yeah.
And they think they're going to attack Cuba. You've got the USS United States of America. Why would you need those carriers there? Why wouldn't you bring them here so they can just pew, 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 right? Bomb Iran left, right, center, day and night. Because these morons thought this was just going to happen in a matter of minutes.
I tell you
Margie,
why.
Maggie
Because
Haberman and
because
Jonathan Swan said they really thought this was going to be Venezuela, that country would collapse in a day or two. What the fuck? Like, you could ask any expert. See, there's the problem. They don't like experts.
no, they
They
don't.
hate them. They have an utter contempt for experts. And so they didn't
Because
ask any of them.
experts don't have loyalty to one person. They have absolute loyalty to their actual facts and works and their expertise and the time they have spent on the battlefield and the intelligence they have gathered. That's what an
Oh,
expert is proud of, right?
yeah.
Um,
So let me go over the boring stuff now. I'm just going to list off all the attacks and stupid shit that's been going on last night. Um, just because you haven't heard about it does not mean the United States is not bombing Iran. We're almost bombing around the clock now. We prefer to bomb at night and cruise missile during the day. So, 12th night of strikes, the usual suspects, plus one of my favorite places, Larak Island. Larak Island is right here. This is the IRGC Multipass Island. You have to go past this island and wave your multipass like this, multipass. And then you can continue to go out safely or in safely under that. There is an oil facility on Larak Island on the north. There it is. On the northeast side, IRGC also operates out of the port there. Most of this place It's an ecological preserve. You can go on YouTube and watch people walk around Larak Island and look at the nesting birds. But the United States struck it yesterday as one of the places that it needed to attack. Larak Island, Hormuz Island, Bandar Abbas, every day, the Sirik IRGC underground tunnel complex. All the usual suspects, Bushehr, Ahvaz, a lot of attacks on the Iranian-Iraqi border here, one of which is significant, called Shamshamal, and it is a trans it's a transit post that brings pilgrims from Iran to Iraq so that they can go to Najaf and Karbala and see the shrines of Imam Hussein and Khalif Ali. I The only reason I can say that they attacked that border post was to reduce the IRGC presence at the border. What did they think they maybe Maybe we were infiltrating agents through that, and we used that attack to make it more chaotic for those assets to get through. Because there is no reason why they hit that fucking border post. Those people who were crossing the border still going to stand in line. They didn't hit oil tankers or anything like that. They hit the border post
No,
building.
Patricia Hegseth has told us why. At
Who?
the
Why?
when she was being grilled in front of the Congress, Patricia, she said that we need options. That's why we are doing all of these things, because the president needs options and we provide these options for him. So if making an attack or two in Kargar Island would make an additional option for Trump to make another decision, then that is going to be on the table. If if having the strip by Venezuela is going to give Trump another option down in South America, then let's keep it there because it's an option. That's like the Trump administration keeps showing all of their cards in public and they're saying it out loud. So that's why I know.
Wajeeh, what you're saying to me as an intelligence professional, when you read back to me what you would like to do with regards to policy, I'm literally saying what I would say if I was sitting here. I go, so you bullshitting and you just fucking hit something because you need to be able to say you hit something. That's your option.
I mean, you ain't wrong, but
What do you mean I ain't
those
wrong? I did
you
this
ain't wrong.
before. I'm
You
just
ain't
saying
wrong.
you're bullshitting and you're a fucking civilian that just wants to hit something. So you're like, hit that border post. No, 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 no. There has to be a reason for that. And my reason would be if I were to look at this from an intelligence perspective, you needed chaos in and around that border to take the heat off of something else that's crossing the border.
Okay, like what?
Like agents and assets or helicopters, I don't know. But you hit that, the biggest border crossing between Iran and Iraq for pilgrims going in the south, or you just fucking hate the Iraqi. I don't know. But you're taking the heat off of somewhere else. If I were to see that if the United States were to be hit at a border crossing, I would start looking at all the other border crossings with much more serious intent and start checking those mountains out. See who's crossing up there. Because why do you want the eye of fucking Sauron turned down there if I got two hobbits and a fucking gremlin coming up from behind me? Sorry about these references, but I watched The Return of the King yesterday.
Uh,
The airport.
okay. Here's a question then.
Yes.
Isn't the U.S. preference usually is to send operatives under, like, when it comes to stuff like this, especially in Iran, in the past, I've seen the U.S. send Delta forces, undercover civilian clothes, crossing the border with legal documents that could hold up to scrutiny, conduct some stuff, and then get out. That's the stuff I've heard about.
لا 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 لا
Then what?
كل هذا خارق كله كلش
Kara?
حرام. كلش حرام. مش الله خير. No, it's not the way the game is played, and we will not discuss tradecraft any further. But
Oh,
I would have be looking out for light aircraft, insertion platforms, helicopters, guys on donkeys. It might even not even be one of our guys. It might be a Kurd or a Peshmerga or something like that. Speaking of which, we'll get on to that. But let me finish the recap for the United States. 150 U.S. Army medics, these are medical personnel, have been sent from the United States to the U.S. Army Advanced Field Hospital in Landstuhl, Germany. That hospital is where we stabilize our wounded. We have also sent two EC-130 Compass Call electronic warfare aircraft. This aircraft has the ability to seize control of television, radio, microwave, and broadcast American messages out to it. There's reports that U.S. Special Operations Forces that returned to the United States, there are over 1,000 of them, earlier this year in Jordan and Israel, are returning back to the region. Also, a U.S. Special Networking aircraft, which is a light executive jet. It has been sent to the region. And what this does is this operates as a communications node over the battlefield. So you communicate with that, it communicates with space and gives you a solid link, is going out. And what this all indicates is there is a major special operations mission planned. And the fact that
okay.
they sent the 150 makes me think there is a ground operation coming. It's not because the medics at Landstuhl. I brought one of my Ukrainian legionnaires to Landstuhl last year who's going to lose his leg, and they stabilized him. He didn't lose his leg. Then we went up to the military hospital at Utrecht, Netherlands, and he's now retained his leg. But Landstuhl was not lacking for personnel, right? You have not just Landstuhl Army Hospital, you have other hospitals, but by surging 150 combat medics, doctors, nurses, right? You are preparing for an influx of personnel. And the strikes that we have are not that influx. Yes, we have lost 18 people, 428 wounded, 18 dead, but that's not what we're looking at. We are looking at mass casualty. So whatever is coming, it is starting to really materialize. As Mark Polymeropoulos, who's former CIA officer, says, signal versus noise, right? Noise is what you hear on Fox News. 150 medics going to Landstuhl, all these electronic warfare, radio communications, tankers, B-1 bombers, that's signal. That is beep, beep, little spike spiking up, telling you something is happening. Last, Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar is 100% empty of U.S. aircraft. United States, whatever's going on, we could not manage it. That base is now considered empty and closed. Remember, I said Central Command would be moving from Qatar to Uvda Air Base in Israel, and we will see whether that happens. That's been my prediction for 4 months now. But Central Command, no aircraft
You have also predicted that the United States
in
has been trying.
Qatar.
You've also predicted, like as of at least a week or two ago, that the U.S. is preparing to do a special operation and the islands. Uh,
Wajeeh.
you've been you've been
I
predicting that in the last few weeks, and I know
I
you've just
wrote
been
that.
talking
Whoa,
about it.
whoa! I wrote that Substack on day 10 of the war. And then I wrote it again a week later. I've been sitting here waiting for it. It's just, they're just figuring out that they should, like I said, there's no strategy here in this war. They're like, well, what if we take Karg Island? No, we can't do that. Now they're back to it. They're like, what if we take Karg Island? Oh, that's an excellent idea, Mr. President. Wajeeh, we're dealing with, what did they say in Blazing Saddle? These people are the new settlers of the frontier, the salt of the earth. You know, morons. So that is Mel Brooks wrote that line for this administration, right? They've got to do something to keep their phony baloney jobs.
Yeesh.
So this is one of the stupidest things that has ever happened in American history. So Muwafaq al-Salti Air Base in Jordan is also emptying of aircraft. Apparently, these strikes are getting through, and the United States is saying that this Khyber Shakan missile that the Iranians have been using is defeating Patriot batteries. Although Trump insulted the Jordanians by saying if there were other people there, that wouldn't happen. Not you brown Jordanian guys we've been training for 40 years. Well, it's horrible that two of the four of the women that were killed were Patriot battery team members, and they were killed in their shelters in this war. Oh, by the way, everybody thus
Oh,
far that we've identified has been a person of color. I just want to point that out to you. 43% of the armed forces: Hawaiian, East Indian American, African American, and Latino. Y'all, just to let you know who's sacrificing in this war. Okay, that's it for U.S. attacks. We talked about Yemen. Let's talk about what Iran
but
did.
didn't you hear
Iran,
Trump what he
uh,
said? Trump said he met with the victim family members, and they all said that they want Iran not to have a nuclear weapon. What are you talking about, man?
liar, liar. That man's a liar. Okay. And if I were a chief in that room, all right, I'd throw my anchors down and go, you can't lie to these people like that, Mr. President. That's bullshit. No family member said that. All right. I've been around trauma. No one's going to go, Mr. President, with tears in our eyes, please make sure Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. Really? That's not what they said. Most of those kids came in for a future, an opportunity, a way to get education, for adventure out there. And let me tell you, none of his punk ass kids are in the armed forces. And if they were, they'd be a liability. These are the kind of people that get freaking hand grenades rolled under their bed. So this is just ludicrous. Let's go on. Iran, Galibaf says the policy now for Iran in the Strait of Hormuz: no oil comes in, no oil goes out. We don't get any oil to export. Nobody gets oil to export. That is the new policy of the SOH. Iran has attacked Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain. They have attacked Kuwaiti infrastructure so much, the Kuwaitis are asking people to cut their electrical usage by 50%. I don't know if you've been to Kuwait, but it is a very, very hot country. Very hot. And cutting air conditioning 40 degrees Celsius. Wajeeh, 40 degrees Celsius, July, August in Kuwait. Okay, I've been to
Damn.
Kuwait in July, August. How do you cut the AC?
You killing people that way.
Turn on and keep AC. They said strains on the system from the destruction of the power plants has led to severe limitations of electricity in Kuwait. The electrical system is teetering on its edge. Bahrain, Fifth Fleet headquarters. There's indications Fifth Fleet headquarters took a lot of damage. In Kuwait, also, U.S. helicopter ramp at Camp Bueling apparently took a direct hit. We've got satellite imagery of that now. And there is a report that the Iranians, very early on, about the fifth or sixth day in the war — I would have to check my other notepad because I kept notes on every attack every day of this war. I know everything that was struck. Iran apparently is on a campaign to hit secret, overt, and covert CIA sites throughout the Middle East with such a high level of accuracy that the United States is assessing Russia is giving them the locations of CIA infrastructure, and Iran is hitting it. I wonder if anybody in the White House — oh, by the way, Pete Hegseth, I don't know if you know this — has ordered all labor operations cease all activities blocking, attacking, or monitoring Russia. Hmm. Russia is now considered an ally. But we're continuing those activities against European and NATO countries. Russia is killing U.S. service members and clandestine service officers or CIA activity support people with this information. But the United fucking States thinks that there's no problem with any of that. Finally, Trump has whipped out the Code of Hammurabi. I don't know if you've ever been to Babylon, but I have been to Babylon several times. The only thing I can get out of Babylon is one of them bricks that says from Saddam Hussein, from Nebuchadnezzar to Saddam Hussein. Still on the market for one of those bricks, guys. So if one of those, I couldn't pay for that. First off, they're embedded in the stone, and you would have to literally start knocking sections of that off. But Babylon, been to Babylon, the Code of Hammurabi, which is considered King Hammurabi, established one of the first systems of jurisprudence, but within it, written down was called Lex Talionis, or the Code of Eye for an Eye. And Donald Trump has instituted that is now U.S. policy for merchant ships in the Strait of Hormuz. If a tanker is hit in the Strait of Hormuz, the United States will destroy a part of the civilian infrastructure, bridges, or power plants. That, even by opening his fucking mouth, is a war crime, because it is designed to punish the civilians. It has no military benefit other than maybe interdicting some lines of communication, but that's not what he's saying. War crimes are about intent, and he has said he is intent on punishing Iran as a nation.
Yep.
Look at that. Look, even the dog is whimpering over the possibility that war crimes are potentially happening, right? Right. See, the dogs of Hammurabi are alive and well.
Hammurabi, kilab Hammurabi.
Kilab Hammurabi, ya Allah. Ya al-Kalab al-Har. Al-Kalab al-Har. Yalla
Kilab
Kalab al-Har. Yappa yappa. So, by the way,
Kilab.
somebody actually out there in internet land said that I do not actually know how to speak Arabic. And I went, so another, they're speaking Arabic on that show every day. It's pretty fun. Okay,
Did you see
that is.
before? Do you have the Saudi Arabia nuclear agreement with the United States on your list?
I'm sorry, I am done with today's list. Yes.
Okay. So one of the lists that we have not mentioned is the Saudi American nuclear deal.
Last item, I was going to save it for tomorrow, because it requires some clarity. Some new breaking news is coming in on that deal that you mentioned, which is that the United States created a deal with Saudi Arabia called the 123 deal. This has been investigated for years, especially when General Michael Flynn was talking secretly to the Russians at the beginning of the first Trump administration before that to get Saudi Arabia nuclear reactors of the same type that the Iranians have up here in Bushehr. And that would give them a fast reactor capability that inherently required some enriched uranium and could quickly produce plutonium. Fastest way to an atomic bomb is plutonium, y'all. Right? So that deal went through when he got arrested and before he got his pardon from Donald Trump. Now the United States wants to sell Saudi Arabia nuclear power plants, which have the capability where we would authorize Saudi Arabia to, wait for it, enrich uranium to high concentrations, quite possibly up to weapons grade. Does this sound familiar? I thought we were
Very much
fighting a
so.
war
We've
to make
been
sure
done
that
that.
shit wouldn't happen. What?
I feel like we've been there, done that with Iran, and we're doing it again with the Saudis. And here's an interesting news that I would add to this. Right
Oh, yeah,
before
this is going.
our show,
This is going to
right
be good.
before our show started, Our supreme leader, His Majesty Baba Trump, may God extend his life forever, says the civil nuclear deal, there will be no enrichment of material being made between the United States Department of Energy and Saudi Arabia, which pertains only to non military use, such as the ones that Iran and UAE and others already have. Well, we will be approved, but it is totally subject to Saudi Arabia joining the very respected and successful Abrahamic Accord. The United States is not opposed to civil, non enriched nuclear facilities. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump.
Listen, here's what happened yesterday, folks. The United States announced that they cut this historic deal that would allow Iran to essentially or Iraq, listen to me, Saudi Arabia. Listen, every country that's tried it, I just named it. Iran, Iraq, yeah, Pakistan. That would allow Saudi Arabia to become essentially a country that would have the technology to quickly, rapidly advance to become a nuclear power. And 3, 2, 1. Benjamin Netanyahu was on the phone to Trump going, are you out of your mind? Are you out of your fucking mind? You're going to give them this? So they're enemies right now. And so Trump is like, I know what to do. My little itty bitty hands, I will get them to sign the peace treaty with Israel, which they said they would never, ever effing do so long as Hamas was and Palestine was not done. So no nuclear power until you become Israel's bestest friends, right? I'm going to say this once, I'm going to say it 1,000 times. The government of Saudi Arabia, let's assume for 1 minute that they secretly work on a nuclear weapons program with Pakistan, who has, by the way, as many as 100 atomic bombs, which they built to deal with India, who has, by the way, maybe as many as 100 atomic bombs that they built to deal with Pakistan. There is a joke out there that the Saudis want these bombs, but I like to remind people that that family is one series of suicide bombings or a revolution away from ceasing to exist. They can be killed. They could be a popular uprising. Saudi Arabia could announce that they've got atomic bombs tomorrow and they are a nuclear power in defense of Iran. And the next thing you know, an Islamic fundamentalist state of Saudi Arabia is in charge with atomic bombs. Right? People get passionate over these things. These are the ultimate weapon. I mean, you don't have to watch the movie True Lies, okay, with Arnold Schwarzenegger to get your opinion about how Islamic extremists, what they would do with an atomic bomb. And I will tell you this, they would not blow up fucking Key West, Florida, that's for sure. So this is what Israel's afraid of. And sure as shit, Benjamin Netanyahu last night called up Trump. I am projecting that because that is the only thing that would have made Trump flip 24 hours later. Apparently, Trump is getting a Central Park-sized complex built in the middle of Riyadh in exchange for this. A real estate deal for the capacity to make atomic bombs. That's what happened with this story. But I thought we were bombing Iran so that no nuclear for Iran. You can be damn sure they're going for nuclear now because you're talking about, Iran's going to need that nuke before Saudi Arabia does. And Saudi Arabia already falls under Pakistan's nuclear umbrella. Right? So people do not trust each other. Wajeeh, we've gone long. I actually have to do the Stephanie Miller's radio show on Sirius XM satellite right now. If you guys haven't noticed, the question and answer for today has been up on Substack for the last few hours. I will be addressing those questions and answers. Let's take a quick peek and see if there's anything fun there right now that I need to see. As of right now, no. I will go and answer your questions. I like taking time and I like interacting with you guys because sometimes 5 or 6 of you ask the exact same question, and I will get that done. I am sorry Jacob Carsbo couldn't come today, but you guys did such a good job yesterday, forcing me to sleep on an airplane and watch a 3-hour Lord of the Rings again. But otherwise, I wouldn't have my Bilbo Baggins references. Wait, no, that's not Bilbo Baggins. Didn't do that. That was the first movie. Anyway, okay, Frodo Baggins reference to use about infiltrating agents into Iran. So that is our show for today. I will answer your questions. Thank you all for coming. There, I will be either here or back in New York in the next day or so. You will have lots of monitors. Uh-oh, what's that? Iranian dog bomb? You don't want the Saudis to have nuclear weapons either? The dog has spoken. Al Kalab al Harb. He wants to talk. All right, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, uh, you are watching a recording. Come watch it on Substack at malcolmnance.substack.com. Everyone subscribe to Wajeeh. Give us a paid subscription if you really like what you're getting. You're getting quality out of it. But this war is going to get bad very soon. So take care. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.